Welcome back to Grade 7 Science. This is lesson number 3.1, Cycles in the Biosphere. Okay. You've probably heard enough lectures from old people about the importance of recycling. Today, recycling seems like a routine part of our daily life. It just seems natural to recycle used cans, bottles, and newspapers. Well, humans are not alone when it comes to recycling. The biosphere is excellent when it comes to recycling. We will be reading about two examples of how the biosphere recycles its own materials. And folks, for those of you who have already gone through my grade 7 geography course, these next two examples that we're going to look at should be quite familiar to you because we looked at these in length during our time together in social studies. So let's look at the first example. The water cycle is the continuous movement of water through the biosphere. There are 5 steps in the water cycle. First, water from the clouds falls in the form of rain, snow, and hail. This is called precipitation. The precipitation then lands on the ground and forms puddles. The water that forms these puddles is called groundwater. Runoff is groundwater that joins larger bodies of water. When the heat rises and causes the air in lakes and oceans to become a vapor, this is known as evaporation. The vapor cools as it rises in the air and turns back into water, which in turn gets collected in the clouds. This final stage is called condensation. And there's going to be a little check for understanding at the end of this video, folks. So it will be a good idea to put the video on pause right now, just so you can take a look at this diagram, see how all these words that I read to you are connected to each other. And then when you're ready, we'll proceed. Okay, let's look at our second example. It's a simple fact. All animals need oxygen to breathe and to live. But how is it that plants provide us with oxygen? Doesn't oxygen just come from the air? Well, the answer lies in the carbon dioxide and oxygen cycle. This is the process by which carbon dioxide and oxygen are recycled in the biosphere. When you breathe, you take in oxygen. Respiration is a natural function which allows you to get the energy out of oxygen. When you respire, you also release carbon dioxide. Carbon dioxide is what plants use to make their own food. The process by which plants make their food, both from carbon dioxide and from light energy created by the sun, is known as photosynthesis. The plants use photosynthesis to create their energy and to produce more oxygen for us. And so the cycle repeats itself, as you can see in this diagram here. So just as in the previous slide, folks, I heavily recommend that you put the video on pause just so that you can study this picture a little bit more closely. Just gives you a sense of the cyclical nature of the carbon dioxide oxygen cycle. And then once you feel you've got a good handle on these 4 key terms, we can move on. All right, and let us proceed. The 2 cycles we read about today can be affected by human activity. As always, it is important not to harm the balance in these cycles, as we need these cycles to live. So guys, just in closing, when I'm finished speaking, you're going to put the video on pause and jot down the words that I've covered up in this diagram. Okay? If you don't feel ready to try this activity, it needs you to rewind, watch the first part of the video, and then when you're ready, put the video on pause. Okay, folks, just to wrap up. Okay, same thing here. When I'm done talking, you're going to put a video on pause and just on a separate piece of paper or a separate screen in Google Docs, just type down the 4 words that I have covered in this diagram. Great. So we will review this material next day, and I'm going to perform this check for understanding with you. So make sure that you have your answers with you when you come back to the classroom. But until we meet again, this concludes today's video.